My name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's episode I'm going to be doing a review of the 8th episode of The Apprentice. So without further ado, let's begin the video. At the beginning of the episode we found out that the candidates were going to be going to County Hall and they were advised to take an overnight bag with them. Danny said, what the hell is County Hall? Victoria explained that the competition was getting tough and Lord Sugar explained to the candidates that it was the set for an Agatha Christie story. And for their task, they were to create an immersive event with Team Apex at Shrewsbury Prison and Team Affinity at Bliss Hill, which is a Victorian experience. So with Team Affinity and that Victorian experience, we had Avi as the project manager, along with Rochelle, Bradley and Moni. And then for Team Apex, we had Mark, and he was with Megan, Victoria, Danny and Simba, with obviously Mark taking the lead there as project manager, so Avi against Mark. Moni explained that she's obviously run 6 kind of events like this before, and Avi said that he's actually run immersive events, so it was between the two of them who was going to be the project manager for Infinity. In the end, they voted for Avi. Moni said that obviously she can handle him being the project manager, he wouldn't have been able to handle her being the project manager, so it was fine for him to take control. And Mark said that he's never been the project manager before, so he wanted to put himself forward, with Megan saying that they should focus on the prices and Victoria saying they should have a magician as it makes it a little bit more interactive. And Megan said it's all about making money, so they needed to kind of spend less but obviously make a lot. Avi said that obviously he thought the contortionist was the cheapest to go for, with Bradley saying £100 per ticket would be okay. Avi wanted to go with 109 and he said obviously not to go lower than 99, with Moni explaining that he had weird prices with all the different 9s, and he said it just kind of sounds a little bit better. If you price something for £99 rather than 100, it sounds like you're getting a massive discount, or it's just that way people's brains think. It makes you go, oh my goodness, that's so much lower than £100. Mark said he was going to potentially charge £200 per ticket, with both Megan and Victoria saying that that was way too high. Megan said to not overpromise on the event, and Mark saying that in terms of the food, they should just get pub grub, with Victoria saying maximum £20 per head. In the car, Mark actually discussed with Victoria that obviously the prices are a little bit too high, with Victoria saying 110 would probably be okay, with the lowest being 95. And Danny said that if Megan doesn't get a good negotiation, they're going to have very, very small margins because obviously on what they think the tickets should be worth, so they should be spending as little as possible on the food. With Mark, Danny and Victoria, they said £110 per ticket, and when they were going to do their kind of market research or speaking to members of the public, most customers said that they would only pay £20. So I think Mark's kind of way of doing this was saying how much would you pay, which is obviously not the best way to do sales. You kind of say what the price is and you negotiate it down. You don't just go, what would you pay? Because people are going to want as cheap as possible. And he even said to one of the people, come and see us later if you obviously change your mind. Karen said, again, it wasn't a good strategy to ask customers what they would pay. Again, like what I said, they would just ask for as minimal amount of a price as possible. And Avi and Rochelle, they obviously were talking to customers for their particular immersive event, with Rochelle starting some of the conversations and Avi continuing to talk over her. So I think she was trying to build that rapport and he just kind of was just talking over her rather than actually going to try and sell to someone else. He would just butt in and take over the conversation. And I think at this point Avi just said to Rochelle they obviously need to work together, so they should do it half and half, not all him, not all her. In terms of Simba and Megan, obviously they were told by Mark to get as cheap food as possible, and they actually went straight for the most expensive food, which was actually the gourmet burgers for £35, asking whether it could be brought down to £30. And also you had the prisoner experience food where they were able to get £24 per meal if all of the tickets were sold, and £25.50 if obviously not all the tickets were sold, to kind of get their money back. Megan said that they should order about 6 bottles of wine as well, and Simba said that the costs for the food and drink were over £250. So wanting to pay the 20 and then actually paying 250, that's not really great. Brad and Moni had a quick chat, and Moni said she felt like she'd gone back in time because I think the both of them were actually experiencing the Victorian experience. And they said they potentially wanted to get £9.25 for food, with Moni saying that obviously spending £4.50 on alcohol was obviously not a good idea. Bradley managed to bring the client down to €8.50, so I think they were kind of discussing about 3 figures. Bradley saying, oh, can we bring you down to 3 figures, like £9.50? and then the guy said no, and then £8.50, and then at the end they managed to get their agreed price of £8.50. With Mark, Danny and Victoria, they offered £95 for a ticket to an older couple, and obviously, yeah, they weren't really happy to either go to that experience because they're not really looking to go to prison, but also not to pay that kind of price, saying it wasn't really for them. Simba and Megan, obviously they were taking part in the prison experience, with Megan saying that the bar has been set very, very high in terms of what the customers should expect. Bradley and Marnie got into Victorian character, and they obviously were learning some of the tips along the way, such as candles needing oxygen, and Marnie said that obviously she's worked in a court and she's good at retaining facts, so hopefully she'll be able to retain all of this Victorian style information and be able to feed it to the customers. With Mark, he offered a group discount for £75 per person, and I think this was when they went to like an office kind of thing, so they offered £75, and I think Victoria had the idea of removing the magician and potentially bringing the price down in order so they were able to make profit, and they said they would be able to do 12 tickets at £60 without the magician, and then saying they needed to do it with the magician. They managed to get the sale, but obviously, yeah, not that much of a profit. And Danny said that they needed to sell a lot more tickets at a higher price, otherwise they obviously weren't going to make a profit. Avi managed to sell 10 tickets for £60, giving away some of the tickets for free, and Mark managed to sell another 6 for £50, getting another £300 for them. With Avi and Rochelle, obviously they had that meeting with their contortionist, with Rochelle asking her if she was okay, and Avi asking if she could go down to 150. Ella, so the girl, said that she could do 275, and that's the price, the lowest price that she could obviously work at. Avi managed to get her down to 250, and I think at this point Rochelle did jump in and say 275 before the deal was kind of ended, so she shouldn't have jumped in because they were trying to get even lower. With Mark, Victoria and Danny, the magician asked for £500, and they actually asked if he could go down to, I think it was like 250, something like that. They agreed on 300, and then Karen basically said that the magician wasn't really budging on Mark's price. Yeah, I think he tried to ask for 275 and £300 was the lowest, so they paid £300 for 40 minutes of a magician. And then Megan actually said to Simba, let me hear your officer voice, because obviously she wanted to know how he was going to be in character for the role. Simba asked his team how many tickets that they sold, and Mark said that they sold 18 tickets for 1,020, with Simba saying that they were basically giving tickets away, and Avi said that they managed to get rid of 22 tickets for 1,429, which included photos for both of the clients, and Marnie said that you can't have one group taking photos and having the photos for free, because obviously that was a bit of a missed opportunity, and I think she kind of said either they're all going to have photos or they're not going to have photos, because you can't work out who's from which team. Megan actually said that they spent £15.50 for food each with alcohol, and Karen said that they seem to have made a mistake on the alcohol form, with Victoria saying that they seemed to be working on a minus. Avi and Marnie obviously were doing the Victorian experience with Rochelle and Bradley in the kitchen, serving dinner at 3:45. Mark explained that they needed to upsell on the photos, with Danny saying that they should rely on the tips. And it was Meg and Simba who were leading the prison experience. With Avi and Marnie, they took part in the Victorian spelling class, with customers enjoying Lady Maidley. And Simba said that one of the ladies in the prison said that they thought they were going to get a tour of the prison, and there was nothing about a magician being mentioned. And Bradley and Rochelle were making pies in the kitchen, obviously, for their customers as well. Mark said to the girls in his team that 3 PM arrival was the time for the food, and Danny asked whether that was the specific time or whether that was his gut instinct. And Mark said that he hoped Megan and Simba would obviously give them 10 minutes notice to cook, with Victoria saying they should just cook the burgers and leave them under the grill. Avi and Marnie then went on a train ride, and I think this was when Avi kind of came out of character, so Marnie just reminded him to be in character, and also reminded him of some of the facts that actually they were supposed to remember, kind of hinting what to say by also being in characters. That was quite good. And Avi said quickly, we've got to leave, there's been an explosion, with Marnie saying that she naturally had to just take the lead to make sure that Avi was in place. And Karen said obviously they were making people laugh with the experience, so that was obviously a good sign, and I think that she was talking about the prison experience here. And then with Bradley, he said to Rochelle that they needed to get things plated as soon as they could, with Danny saying that they shouldn't be as relaxed as they were when they were obviously cooking in the prison, and they need to know exactly what time Megan and Simba and the guests would be coming for obviously having food. with Karen asking Mark, did you not plan a time for lunch? And she basically said that he'd had that meeting with the team in the morning. One of the things that wasn't discussed was lunch, so they were kind of just hoping that they would arrive soon. With Avi and Marnie, Marnie said that the food had been sitting there for ages and they should just focus on getting water to the tables and drinks later on. So most important thing is making sure the right food is on the right table. Just put water, and then any special drinks or any extra drinks they can sort out later. But obviously Avi wasn't really listening to her. And Megan said to the girls and Mark in the kitchen that they should have had the food done as soon as possible, with Rochelle saying that obviously there was a vegan meal that was thyme, a gluten-free meal that was chive, and that she left the right meals in the right place. And obviously when Marnie went to take them out, or I think it was Avi that went to take them out, he gave the wrong dish to the wrong person, or I think Avi moved the wrong one around. So Marnie then went to the customer and said, you can enjoy this one guilt-free. With Simba and Meg in the prison, Meg suggested that they should be able to carry out 3 plates at the same time, and Mark said get the food out because you're literally just wasting time. Avi charged a customer £5 for a photo, with the customer saying that he thought it was part of the package, and Simba managed to get a tip of £10 from one of the customers. In the boardroom, Mark explained that his base for the tickets prices would be between £150 and £200, and he managed to build rapport with people, and in total they got 18 tickets sold for a total of 1,220. Megan said that they would be hopeful to get the whole 32 tickets, and Mark said that the magician wouldn't go lower than £300, so that's probably where they spent a lot of their money. And Simba said that someone asked for a history tour of the prison, which obviously wasn't part of the experience, and I think Karen kind of hinted that it took 40 minutes for even the first guest to receive their food, with the food obviously being slow. For Avi's team, he asked to be the project manager because obviously he was clear that it was a profit task. Brad said that obviously having a lower amount of £15 for the pie, they were able to get some sort of discount. Rochelle said it was frustrating because obviously they didn't get sales, and in total I think they only sold 12 tickets for 1,400. Avi said that obviously he again tried to get the contortionist to as low as possible, managed to get her down from 500 275 all the way down to 250, even though Rochelle did butt in to the negotiation. And Avi said that he enjoyed a whipping from Marnie, so yeah, that's kind of where that ended. In terms of the actual results then, so for Team Apex, I think they spent £2,100, they spent £1,113 on foods, and a profit of £121.50. There was no refunds, everyone loved the experience. And then for Team Infinity, they spent £1,484, they spent £620 on food, so they made a profit of £858, and again, there was no refunds from them either. So for Team Infinity, which was Avi, Rochelle, Bradley and Marnie, the 4 of them, got to go to the Crystal Maze live experience, and they were through to the next week. In terms of the losing team, Megan said that obviously the price that Mark had set at 180 for the experience just wasn't right, like it was very, very expensive. Mark explained that obviously Megan and Simba went for the highest food, and Simba said that the failure lied with Mark and the ticket team. Megan and Mark both said that the tickets were way too high and they needed to have better valued food, and Victoria said that the failure was with Megan. Mark said he didn't know the location and obviously didn't manage to sell many of the tickets. And I think Karen basically said here that the description of what they were selling was incorrect. Megan actually said that they decided to go for the decent food and drinks for the price they were asking for. So because they were charging over £100 and something for a ticket, you wouldn't then just give them little crappy food, you would give them actual decent food. And Victoria said that they did try and sell the tour without the magician in order to make some sort of profit, but then some of the people wanted the magician. Megan said that even the lowest option of food would have still not given them enough profit because they'd spent so much elsewhere. So she did kind of say that even if they would have gone for the lowest amount of food, they probably would have actually had refunds and they still wouldn't have had enough profit compared to the other team. Lord Sugar said that he was deciding who was going to be staying, so Simba and Megan were the 2 that were let off lucky, so the 2 of them went back to the house. So it was Mark, Danny and Victoria that Lord Sugar decided to bring in to discuss with. So in terms of Mark, they said that he makes a lot of excuses and still went with the entertainment even though he knew it wouldn't allow them to have a profit. They said Danny had a lack of sales in this particular challenge, and Victoria is very bright, but also she didn't sell anything either. Mark said that obviously the public would only have wanted to pay £25 for a ticket, with Danny saying that Mark shouldn't have said how much would you have wanted to pay, just gone in with a price. And Karen basically said that he didn't sell the experience and that's why people didn't want to go to the event, because they didn't actually know what they were paying for. Victoria said that she did try and claw back the margins to try and get profit, and Danny said that she has put a solid shift consistently in the process, and obviously she shouldn't be fired. Mark explained that he's won 5 out of 8 of his challenges and he's trying to get back on track. And Danny said that the tickets were instantly dropped when they left. So even after having their morning meeting when they discussed 150 between 180, even then Mark said, actually, let's bring it down to 110. So even from the get-go, he didn't really know what was going on. In the end, Mark was fired as the project manager. Mark said that he was going to potentially get Lord Sugar a lot of money within his first year. Danny said that they should all be proud of themselves in terms of what they're doing. And in terms of the next task, they were going to be making a men's skincare product. So we had 8 people left. We had Marnie, Avi, Rochelle, Bradley, Megan, Simba, Victoria and Megan. So they are the top 8 for now. If you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment and share and subscribe. And until my next review, thank you for watching and goodbye.